Hello everyone. On October 28th, we interviewed three very bright women on the topic of African women and youth, opportunities in the labor market. My name is Paula Portioli from Brazil, one of the co-founders of Virtual Gatherings for Brazilians, together with Romina Rojas from Peru. We are very happy to announce that our team is growing, and now Gabriela Garcia from Brazil and Laura Lopez from Colombia are part of our team. For those who do not know us yet, we are an independent initiative that amplifies the voices, action, and ongoing debates from the Global South. We promote a safe space to share strategies of resilience and development focused on the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. We believe that united we are stronger and together we can build a more egalitarian society. This video is a record of our 4 virtual gatherings for resilience, and we hold 3 great speakers. Christabel Tsoto, who is from Zimbabwe and now is a PhD student in geography specializing in migration, studies at the University of Kansas, United States. Her research focuses on the effects of migration on the well-being of children in Zimbabwe. She has work experience in youth development and child rights advocacy. Naomi Njeri, originally from Kenya, who is a PhD fellow at the United Nations University in Maastricht, the Netherlands, in governance and policy analysis, with a research focus on special economy zone policies in Africa. She has performed for 5 years in the United Nations. Zainab Adeline Whaley, who is a global speaker, counselor, humanitarian, advocate of SDGs, writer, and psychologist in view from Nigeria, with experience in youth empowerment. Her work has received several awards, and we were very honored to have this inspiring section to discuss the challenges facing women and youth in Kenya, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe, in order to have access to the labor market and higher education. According to the World Bank, the labor market in sub-Saharan Africa is composed of 61% of women. Moreover, 9 out of 10 from those women employed in the sub-Saharan Africa are in the informal sector. During the COVID-19 pandemic, these informal jobs have been the first to disappear, and women could not sustain their economic activity. Already before the pandemic, women were doing more housework than men, including childcare and elderly care. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has been exacerbating this burden, partly because of high poverty and gender discrimination. Progress in gender equality is more limited in the African continent. However, it's important to point out that in the Global South, including Latin America, Asia, and Africa, there is a common shared colonization past that has heavily affected our economy, society, and politics. The repercussions are still palpable today, and it directly affects women and youth. To close this gap, we must focus on women's education and higher levels of income for women, pushing the government's policymakers to make policies to encourage women into the labor market and increase access to education for women and youth. For this complex topic, it's very important to address differences in rural and urban zones, what has changed over the last 10 years, and also to get informed about project works on filling this gap. With no more words to say, I let you to enjoy and learn from this enriched discussion that we had.
Area, and we see how women are at a disadvantage. And even though even according to this report, I mean, a lot of women are working, but the numbers are still very low. And like Paula said, you'll discover that especially with COVID, and a lot of people losing who were in the informal sector, losing even those jobs in the informal sector. And you discover that the first to be affected are usually women and girls, and these lose out on the jobs that they already have.
And I'd like to thank you, Katie. I would like to pass the word to Naomi. If you could share the situation there in Kenya.
Thank you, Gabriela, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are listening us to. And I think this is a great initiative, just having this conversation about labor market outcomes for females and also education outcomes. I think it's called for at this time. Regarding your question on Kenya specifically, I'll start from a policy perspective, looking at women representation in political parties and even in political offices. In 2010, Kenya adopted a new constitution, 2010, and Article 27 of that constitution requires that there should be no more than 2/3 of any gender in elected or appointed positions. Now it's 10 years later, and we are yet to pass specific registrations to operationalize this constitutional requirement. And the main challenge is that the MPs, to pass any bill, you require a quorum of 2/3, and they boycott these bills. They are taken to parliament, and then you don't get a quorum, then it's not even debated. So it's quite a pity that 10 years down the line, we're still struggling with this sort of issue. And Kenya in the East Africa region has the largest economy, even the GDP per capita, it's the highest in East Africa. But when you look at the percentages in terms of political representation, we are just 20% of women are in these elected positions. When you compare to countries like Rwanda, is almost 60%. If you look at Tanzania, Burundi, and Uganda, they are over 30%. So a bit of work to be done in terms of getting the numbers right. And if I look at a recent report, the gender gap report, it positioned Kenya at position 109 out of 153 countries in terms of gender inclusivity. So quite a lot need to be done. And when you look at female labor force participation in Kenya, we are just shy of 50%, meaning that a lot of women are employed. But the shocking thing is that out of this 50%, only 20% are in salaried or waged kind of employment. So we are working, but you're not getting paid because we are working in agriculture and you work to feed your family, and nobody pays you, or you're working for your children in the house and your husband, but this is not termed as salaried or wage kind of employment. The other thing is that in terms of employment, women are mostly in the agricultural sector. In Kenya, this is about 58% compared to 40% of the men. If you look at industry, women are less employed in industry and also in services, but this continues to worsen, especially in the rural areas. 85% of young women and boys who are in the rural areas between age of 15 and 24, 23 of them are working poor. So you're employed, but you're still poor. So because the minimum wage in Kenya is about $100. So $100, you have to buy food, you have to pay rent, you have to educate your kids. So you're working, but so there is an issue also of decent jobs that can really afford you a better lifestyle. So 23% of our youth are in category of working poor. In terms of informality, most women and youth are in informal sectors. Those who are between 15 to 24 years, about 93 of them are in the informal sectors. And there are, of course, challenges that comes with informality, especially when you want to access finance. When you look at issues to do with education, I'll focus more on enrollment rates. So the World Bank previously had focused more on primary basic education, and we got it right. About 64% of female are enrolled in primary school. But when you go up the ladder of the education, these numbers really drop significantly. So from primary to secondary, you get to 32%, then to tertiary, you're at shy of 2%. So quite a lot happening in terms of dropout rate. So In terms of illiteracy rate, the youth are quite educated in Kenya, especially on technological issues, but that doesn't translate into jobs. So just to wind up, I think there are only two things that really can change someone's life, and one of them is education, and it's a proper education. The next thing is an employment, and it doesn't mean that you have to be employed in a white collar job, but something that is decent, that can afford you and your family a livelihood. So quite a lot needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi. So passing the question now to Zainab, what is the current situation of women in terms of employment and labor market and education in your country?
Okay.
In Nigeria.
Okay, no problem. Can you hear me very well? Hello, can you hear me very well?
Try to speak again.
Hello?
The internet is cutting a bit.
Okay, I said, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So let me say, basically, what the person from Zimbabwe and Kenya said is almost the same thing. I think that's the major problem in Africa. Women are having problem of gender, because in Africa, basically, generally, we believe that women are inferior to men. So that's the problem that we're facing in Africa. Coming down to Nigeria now, it's the same issue. And so I will say that the problem is much in Nigeria than other countries in Africa. So we have issue of gender. So they believe that the men are superior than the women. So, and they believe that as a woman, you are already a woman, you're married to your husband. So you have limitation. It's still the problem of equality. They believe that as a woman, you have some things that you're supposed to do and the ones that you're not supposed to do. So that's the thing that is creating problem. Today, I would say that in Nigeria, most women are not employed. The population of them are very, very low because they feel that women are not. In fact, there are some aspects, there are some states in Nigeria that they believe that women should not work. That is their belief. They believe that once I'm married to you, you should stay in my house. I married you because you should take care of my kids. I did not marry you so that you go outside to work. So gender equality is the problem that we're facing in Nigeria, and it's a very critical problem. It's not just a problem that we just overlook. It's a critical problem. When I mean critical, a serious problem that we are facing. If you are saying that the situation of unemployment women in Nigeria, let me say the situation is small, because those who have the opportunity to work, if you have the opportunity to work, that is when we now be saying that, okay, what is the situation of the work? But when you don't have the opportunity, do you have a choice? So most women don't have opportunities in Nigeria to work. Most of labor market in Nigeria, men are there. Women has just limitation space there. So now talking about the little people that have limitation in the labor market, they are always going into entrepreneurship, online marketing. Because if you go for, I've seen an human resource that she has the mindset that she's going to employ 10 employees, while 7 will be men, while the 3 will be women. I questioned her that day. I said, why do you want to do it that way? She believes that the men are active than the women. I said, do you know that you are a woman yourself? So how can you say that to your fellow woman? The problem we are having in Nigeria is that women are not supporting women. How could a woman say that the fellow woman is not as active as men? Then basically you tell him that you yourself, you're not active. Because if you are active, you will not discriminate your fellow women. So we have issue of we are not supporting ourselves. Female prefer to support the other gender. even though the other gender is trying to bring us down, but we are not still supporting ourselves. There are a lot of businesses that women can come together to do. When we are talking about agricultural process needs a lot of people, and basically those kind of jobs is for women. If we support ourselves, it's a thing that we can come together. Before a tomato, or let me say orange, are brought down from the forest to the town, maybe from the village to the town, a lot of them are spots because there is no a proper preservation. When there's proper preservation, we won't have that kind of problem. And it's women that are supposed to work in that category. But if any woman has opportunity in that line and she needs a partner, she will tend to look for a man rather, to fix that position. They now tell me, what are you not saying? So we ourselves, we are the critical problem of women not getting employed. Our fellow women are the problem of the next women. And concerning the another point I'll try to emphasize again. You said I should talk on education, right?
Yes, but I think for now, yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes. I don't. Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
So that's basically
all facing.
When we are talking of the labor market, that's the basic issue that women are facing. We are facing the issue of gender equality that is not taking place, and we are also facing the issue of women not supporting women. Though there is no job in Nigeria, you have to look for job. There's no job. If there's opportunity, that's when you now be categorizing it. Is there opportunity for men or it's for women? But the little one that we have, people associated it for men than women. That is the problem that we're facing in Nigeria. If those issues could be looked into, then women will have more opportunities. They believe that women earn indication. All our duties, our work, and indication. And you'll see that same people that will empower us, that will educate us. And when it's now time for us to practicalize, to put those things we have learned into practical, they will tell us that we have to stay in the kitchen because of the kids.
Yes. So Zainab, since I think you've already summarized it, we've talked a lot about the challenges. Could you try to select one or maybe two that you consider to be the main challenges for young women to access labor market opportunities in Nigeria? One or two, very summarized, so we can pass to Naomi and Christabel again.
Yeah, I said the first one is the issue that we have, issue of gender. Gender
inequality, right?
Yeah, gender. They feel that women are inferior to men. And the second one is that women are not supporting women. We are not supporting ourselves. So that's the second critical issue that Nigerians are facing concerning the male unemployment issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zainab. And Naomi, could you try to think of maybe one or two, three that you consider to be the main challenges in Kenya for women to access education and labor market opportunities?
Thank you, Gabriela, for this. And I think Zainab has touched on the cultural issues that has to do with the societal conditioning of women in the kitchen and the rest. I'll look more into the policy angle because women are not in the decision-making table, that is the parliament where policies are made, then they don't get good representation. And this has also to do with the view of the women as being inferior, and also because these positions are competed for, women not standing up to vie for this position so that they can represent women in parliament, and they'll be there to make policies that are gender sensitive. So that's a major issue, having proper political representations, and has to do also with issues of education. We've seen, like, for example, the case of Kenya, the primary school level, we have quite a lot of women graduating there. But when you go to secondary, that number drops by half. If you go to tertiary, it's just 2%. So how do you compete with those kind of numbers if you're not getting the right kind of education to the common grassroots woman? So there's education differences, and also representation in parliament are quite a huge challenge in terms of changing the whole landscape, even cultural issues, because once you are a woman and you're in the parliament, you try to change those cultural issues, and for example, we have women who have made it. We have pilots, we have women working in marine, we have successful women, but we need quite a number for us to have that paradigm shift. So in summary, education attainment and also representation in parliament are quite a challenge.
Cool. Thank you very much, Naomi. And then Kitty, lastly, on this one, the main challenges to Zimbabwe women.
Okay, Naomi and Zainab have already talked about Zimbabwe is, like most African countries, is a patriarchal society, and that automatically disadvantages the girl child from birth. They are like a secondary citizen. So I'll not talk about the cultural aspects of it, but I'll also talk about the number one, we have teen pregnancies and early marriages. You know, like girls are susceptible to getting pregnant earlier. So a lot of, once a girl gets pregnant, they drop out of school. And we have girls getting married at an earlier age. And this has been exacerbated in recent years by the current economic situation that Zimbabwe has been going through. Like in the past 2 decades, Zimbabwe has been going through political and economic upheaval, and this has affected the women and the girl child mostly. They are the most vulnerable of the population. And so some families are literally selling their daughters, like, okay, you can marry my daughter and you can provide food for my family, you can provide work for my family, and things like that. So teenage pregnancies and early childhood marriages, that's one challenge. And then lack of access to sexual and reproductive health information and services is also a big factor here. And a lot of girls have no access to sanitary wear. I mean, something as basic as sanitary pads, or, well, we won't even talk of tampons, right? So some girls in a lot of areas, in the rural areas, they have to use things like leaves, grass. Some actually use cow dung, you know, during their menstruation. And a lot of these girls end up not going to school because they do not have the sanitation wear that they need to be able to go. So at the end of the day, they drop out of school. And sexual reproductive health is kind of like a taboo topic in my culture. So it's not something that is talked about. So when a girl begins her menses, you know, it's a challenging time. It's a tough time. If they go to school, they're uncomfortable. They don't want anybody to know. If they're having PMS, it's also something that they do not want anybody to know. You know how PMS is with the cramps, headaches, back pains, and stuff like that. But because it's kind of like a taboo thing and they cannot talk about it with anybody, it's difficult for them to be able to come out. So that's also one challenge that they face. And then the last one that I'll talk about is sometimes children have to, especially in the rural areas, sometimes children have to walk long distances to go to school. I remember I once went to a school where the children were telling me that they had to walk 15 kilometers to school. So this in essence would be like 30 kilometers a day to and from school. So you can imagine for young girls how this will be, that they would tire out quickly, and sometimes they have to do this surviving on 1 meal a day. And because of these great distances, girls will typically drop out earlier than boys. And like Naomi has said, you see the numbers numbers of girls in schools decreasing as we go through primary school, secondary school, high school, tertiary education. The numbers keep dropping, and this is one of the reasons. Like, they also do not have access to basic school supplies. You know, some kids will go to school without shoes. Some kids will not have winter wear. So like in winter, they will not have jerseys, they will not have coats or things like that. And in winter, they stop going to school. So these are some of the challenges that they face in accessing education.
Thank you, girls. I think we have really common problems here. Naomi talked a little bit more about the lack of political representation and how this affects the entire access to opportunities for women and younger people. Also, Kitty trying to resume here, but the lack of access, the lack of proper school material and all the, and also it's very interesting when you talk about the early marriage and also early pregnancies, because the idea we have is the more a country develop like Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and Kenya, also here in Brazil, is that we start going against on early marriages, right? But when you have growing poverty, when you have these financial shocks, social lack of social safety nets for the families, then you can see a really throwback on time, right? And I think I can speak also from Romina and Laura, from Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, all of our Central and South America. I think we all really share these problems. And of course, it's, as Zainab mentioned, but stated, the treating women and girls as secondary citizens. You know, this inequality and how this pressure to not conclude school, to go for marriage as a more financial security option, a more financial safe option for the families. So it's very interesting to see how we all face the same challenges at the end of the day. So I don't know if perhaps any of you three, you think that one of these issues do not apply to your country, but I wouldn't think so. Or I think we all kind of agree, right, here on these studies. And
Yes.
Yes, true. Even though I
definitely.
didn't talk about it, political representation is also another big factor here in Zimbabwe. Women are underrepresented in Zimbabwe. And sometimes, even if they are represented, those that represent in parliament, sometimes their voices are kind of like ignored. I remember, I'll come back to the issue of sanitary ware. I remember there was once a debate in parliament when women parliamentarians were advocating for something to be done for the government to take up the sanitary ware challenge. And the male parliamentarians were like, no, this is not an important matter. This is not, they were adamant that it wasn't something that should be. But I mean, look, menstruation is a biological imperative for every woman at some stage. A woman, a girl is going to go through it. And sanitary provision, sanitary wear is something that should be a right for every girl, for every woman. But male parliamentarians didn't consider this to be an important factor. So even though sometimes we may have whatever little representation we have in parliament, sometimes those that are present in parliament, their voices are kind of like ignored.
Thank you, Kitty. I think there is no better example to state how parliamentary representation and gender representation it's really effective. It's really, pragmatically speaking, necessary to improve access to women to all sectors of economy and of social rights, human rights. So to conclude here, 3 questions, and then we can just have a little talk on our masterpieces, our cultural recommendations, so this week can pass faster. I'll start asking Naomi now. Could you share a project that is helping young women to access to education and or to labor markets in Kenya? It can be a government policy, it can be an NGO project, a private sector, international organization program.
Thank you, Gabriela, for this question. And just to add a bit on the prior discussions, also issues to do with HIV and AIDS. For example, in Kenya, within the youth, it's quite prevalent with the girls. And this, of course, have an impact on the occupation outcomes for women. Issues to do with access to finance, access to property rights. You know, like women, you don't inherit from your father. So property, you need, for example, if you have a business, you need a loan, you go to a bank, they'll ask for collateral and you don't have it. So you automatically disadvantaged. So besides differences in human capital, also differences in terms of access to finance and properties, and also health issues affect women disadvantagedly. In terms of projects that can help women, there's an organization called Impact Her. It's actually founded by a Nigerian, and she is a lady who helps women in startups by providing education in terms of how to build your business acumen, how to do business plans and proposals, and also, especially with the COVID, how to pivot your business. Because, for example, if you're selling clothes and there's no more business, how you transition that to making masks, pivoting business. And now with all these online things, helping startups and women in business in digitizing their business, going online, building websites, making presence. So this quite a good nonprofit that women can sign up to if you're in business. Like Zainab said, most of the women are in small and medium enterprises. So this is a good resource that we can tap into. The other one, I'm working with the bank here, and we have a department for gender, and they have rolled out a community of practice platform for women. It's called 40 Million Women Speak platform. It's a sisterhood platform where you share knowledge. So if, for example, I'm in fashion industry in Kenya, then I can link up with somebody in Nigeria and we can exchange ideas, we can even trade. So it's an online platform that allows women to build sisterhood. Like Zainab was saying, this support between women is lacking. So we are trying to bridge that gap by offering this platform where women can really exchange ideas. And in terms of collateral issues and access to finance and growing your business, the gender department of our bank has worked out a platform where they're helping women in terms of accessing to finance. They have an affirmative finance action for women, and they train women on how to build businesses. That's capacity building. They also liaise with government in terms of looking at policy issues, and the way it works, anyone interested, you can look it up in Google, AFAWA. It's a nice program tailored to women in business, but you have main issue is you have to be in the formal. Like we've seen, most of the women are in the informal sector, so you have to transition from the informal to formal so that you can have access to all these resources. But in summary, there's an organization called Impact Her that is helping women and youth pivot their business and go online. There is a 50 Million African Women Speak platform that brings sisterhood in business. So connecting all 54 African women on a platform, and you can exchange ideas and also market your products. And also there is a program that is supporting women in terms of accessing finance and dealing with collateral issues that are being championed by the bank.
Thank you, Naomi. Zainab, could you share a project that is helping young women to access education or labor markets?
Yeah, talking about things that will help women. So in the labor market and the educational sector, number one, I work with different organizations, but basically NGO organizations, not governmental organizations. So, but I have an organization, but it's not an NGO, it's a limited liability company, it's a company. So, but basically I joined organization for youth and women alone. So the women organization, we are basically for skills acquisition. We want to develop, we want to empower women because women need to be empowered. We need to start doing something. In terms of fashion, there are a lot of opportunities for women. Even if people are not creating opportunities for us, we try to create this for ourselves. So far, we have helped a lot of women. I would say we have helped over 100 women this year alone to empower themselves, and they are doing amazing well today. Skills, when we are talking of the skills we are empowered, we are talking of a fashion. Fashion. Why? After learning all those skills, maybe fashion, designing, maybe hair, how to make hair, how to sew, how to do bead, how to do leather shoes, how to build something that will fetch them money on their own, so that they won't wait for their husband or any of the family before they would look for something to feel comfortable for themselves. So after empowering them, we try to make them feel have their own entrepreneurship. You know, when we empower you, finish, if you have little fund to sponsor you, we definitely do that. But because of the situation this year, a lot of women that we empowered were unable to give them something to develop themselves. But we hope to do more again next year. And also, we also mentor them. We have a class. We have a class that we run. We run those classes for three month interval. It's basically for women. One of the organizations I'm working with does that. It's basically for women. What are we doing for them? We tell them, okay, as a woman, what do you want to do? Wait, can you hear me? When you know, can you hear me?
Yes, Zainab, you can continue. Yes, please.
Okay. When you know what you want to do as a woman, bring it out. When we look at it, we assess it. If we are going to look for someone that will train you on what you want that we don't have, we're going to connect. It's like connectivity. Okay, you, this woman, you want to do this. There's someone that we have taught how to do this before. We can connect you to the person. Oh no, we don't have anything related to this in our organization, but let's refer you to organization that can do better for you. It's like networking. And again, for young people, because we know that young people has a lot of problem concerning unemployment, especially in Nigeria. This is a country that you look for opportunity for yourself. So we now make them have a lot of opportunity. We lecture them, we also empower them concerning. If you want to go for public speaking, we have a class for it. If you want to go for writing, we have a class for it. If you want to go to app creation, website, anything ICT, we are trying to build them on digitalization. How to stay in your house and you are selling markets online. I can be in my house and you're going to make a lot of money that day without moving in your house. How are you going to do that? Is your internet, is your social media account. So we train them. A lot of women don't know how to use their social media accounts. All they believe that social media is for them to chat, to browse with people, to talk to themselves. No, it's beyond that. Social media is for networking. A lot of them don't know, but we encourage them. After encouraging them, we will enlighten them on it. That this is how to use your social media. This is how to use your social media. After enlightening them, then we tell them opportunities that they can do online. Do you want to sell clothes? Do you want to sell shoes? Do you want to do this? Okay, if you're not, you're good in this. Come, let's teach you how to design a website. Then after knowing it, you go outside to tell the world that you can design a website. If it's how to build app, if it's content creating, a lot of opportunity like that for women that you will not even leave your house. You will not leave your comfort zone. And we also check those people who loved to give us what they know. Wow, what did you know? It's a lot of problem, a lot of question I do ask them. As a woman, what do you think that you know and you're proud of it? Once you tell me, can you teach people? Can you teach anybody this? If you can do that, then I'll connect somebody who needs that particular problem. It's like a skills woman is helping on skills woman. So basically, we are developing them. We are trying to come up with a program. It's because of the pandemic. My own organization, we're trying to bring up an advocacy program where women will be advocating for their fellow women to support each other. You as a woman that you are not working, that you're not doing anything, then you will now start speaking for women that are working in the labor market, for women that are doing excellently well in the labor markets. Speak to them, convince them that come and empower others. Because we have come together that we want to go into politics. The other lady from Zimbabwe, she was talking about women not going into politics. Yes, it's a problem, but my organization comes together that we want to advocate for ourselves so that we can come up together. If you are a president of a country, it's not too bad. The chairman in Germany, she's doing amazing well. Elizabeth, Queen of England, she's doing an amazing job. Even during the COVID-19, the Germany woman, she really did a great job. I was so flabbergasted. I felt like this is the kind of woman we look up to. So we just need to advocate for ourselves. We need to support ourselves. We need to look into ourselves. Those are the women that have gone up. Now, how are you going to help the people that are coming? So that's the organization, basically what we are planning to do. That we too want to go into politics. When we have the population of women in politics, then we have voice. That's the issue. Because of the population of men are more than women, that's the reason the problem that we are having. But we have the population of so tell me, if 5 women are talking or voicing out and 36 men are voicing out, who want to hear the voices of the 5 women? It cannot be hard because the voices of the 36 men will cover all their voices. That's the reason why we need to support ourselves. That's the reason why we need to talk. We need to start advocating for women supporting women so that we can have a lot of women in those positions. This position is not meant for a man alone. No position that is written that as a president of Nigeria, this position is only meant for a man. Nobody says that. As a vice president of Nigeria, this position is only meant for men. Nobody says that. So what is our problem? In this country, in fact, since when I've been born, women have never been the president or the vice president. We only limit ourselves on minister. We don't want minister again. We want to go into president position. We want to be the vice president of this country. Women need to stand up. That's the reason why the thing that will help us to stand up is when we start fighting for ourselves. The culture has hold us down. The culture is not supporting women. Even the religion aspect is not supporting women. Then what do we want to do to support ourselves? Is by raising our voices. When we raise our voice, when we start talking, people will say that we don't want to accept that thing again. We don't want to be inferior to anybody. You are born as a woman and born as a woman. So we need to advocate for ourselves so that we can start. So that's the planning that we are bringing up, bringing voices of some women together. Then we try to split them into different sectors. You go into this sector, check any women that you know there, try to collect their contacts so that we can start talking to them. Go into this so that any opportunity that is open, they will remember the women too. So those women at the top. When any opportunity is open, they will know that no, this opportunity that is open, I have a woman that I want to give it to, not only men. It pains me a lot when I see a woman in that position and they feel that they want to employ a man. You want to employ a man for that position when you have a fellow woman like you outside there. If you take just only one person, are you not decreasing the unemployment rate? You're decreasing, you're not increasing it. 1 out of 100, it doesn't increase, it decreased to 99. So we need to support ourselves. If you are supporting ourselves, all those early child marriage, premature, those things we have limitation. When you see that as a woman, your fellow woman wants to get married, at this kind of stage, you'll be able to stand up, to rise up and fight for the woman so that she can be safe from that kind of problem.
Zainab, I will have to, we are a bit short on time. I think we are all agree. I think we're on the same page on, but Christabel still needs to give us she've already mentioned here in the chat her project. And then I'll ask if you can talk a little bit more about this project, Kitty. I would also like to suggest one that me and Paula, we found out together on Nigeria. I think Zainab must know it. It's SLA.org, sheleadsafrica.org. We found this organization very, very amazing. That's actually from where we find the photos. We really liked her initiative, their initiatives on how to project women on labor markets, and that's exactly, I think that's pretty much what we are all talking about here, especially Zainab, on how to make women connect amongst themselves and between ourselves to increase our strengths and our opportunities. So I will pass, just to close up Nigeria here, I'll pass the word to Kitty.
Okay, so the organization that I chose, as I posted in the chat, it's called Shamari Manasikana. That's completely in Shona. So loosely translated to English, it's like a girl child's friend. And why I chose this, like, I am partial to children and young people. That's the area that I'm passionate about working with. So whatever area it is, I always start by looking at what's being done for children and young people, be it in gender issues, be it in education issues. So this is one that quickly came to my attention. And what Shamari Manasikana basically does is that it works with women and girls in the communities. It empowers communities with regards to girls and women's issues. It focuses and it advocates for girl child emancipation. It works for the support of sustainable livelihoods, and it also spearheads gender dialogue and mainstreaming. They have coordinated and facilitated matches like the Girls and Not Brides March, which is just, this was a march to bring awareness to the fact that girl children were still children, they were not brides, that they're advocating that we should allow children to be children and not hurry them along into marriage, allow them to grow to become women before we can. They've also organized marches against rape in Zimbabwe, because the issues are on the increase, and a lot, they tend to be ignored a lot. And with the economic situation as is, we have a lot of women who are being forced either into giving into sex because they need some form of income, or they are forced into sex because they have to get a promotion or something to do with employment. So this is an organization that I find interesting because they're actually on the ground, and they partner with a lot of other organizations. They just do not work alone. I mentioned, I think, 2 other organizations that they work with, like the Brides and Not Girls Not Brides organization, that basically advocates for allowing children to grow before we marry them off. And then the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe. The Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe is basically the mother body of women's organizations in Zimbabwe. It oversees the activities of the various women's organizations that are functional in Zimbabwe. So Shamari Manasikana also partners with organizations like that. And I think a lot is being done. We are not yet there, we are not 100% there, and we are trying. I see in the comments, Rumbi Thelma has also commented on the importance of, okay, let me just read what she says. You know, the importance of improving the competences of women, and organizations like Shamare Mana Sikana and Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe are working towards that, making sure that women improve their competences. Women are skilled enough. Women are equipped with the relevant skills that they need to participate, not just in business industries, not just in the informal sector, but also in the political arena. So that's what Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe does. You know, brings organization to capacitate women to be able to be actively involved in all aspects of their lives and of the country. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kitty. That sounds, all of the projects that you've indicated here seems very amazing. We've been posting them on our social media, so people don't forget it and go check it out later. So I would just like to ask if Naomi or Kitty, if you have something to complement on Zainab's thought, or any of you just
a quick one, Gabriela, on some issues that I find quite interesting, and one of them has to do with mindset, because cultural issues are mindset issues. It's a belief issue. So we need to reprogram ourselves as women that we are equal to men. We should not take it for granted that what culture has conditioned us, that is what we're supposed to be. So there's a lot to be done in terms of changing mindset, and that's a skill, that's a competency that women will require going forward. There's also an issue of network, social capital, and they say that your worth is a sum total of 5 people close to you. So it's good for women to build skills in terms of networking, and not just networking, but also networking up, because we see statistically there are very few women in corporate boards. Not many female hold chairmen or chairladies of boards. Also, statistically, few women do STEM courses, that's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Few women are in those, although numbers are improving, but still we have shortages there. Also, when you look at even pay for similar roles, there's a huge disparity. We have gender pay gaps. So we need to, and these are mindset issues. These things can change, and they change by having the right political representations, having the right education attainment, and having the right mindset as a woman. Because if you program that you are inferior and you carry yourself as inferior, everybody will see you as inferior. So building these capacities is quite important. And the other thing that I wanted to say is about business. Coming from a finance background, there are also traditional issues, for example, on property rights, inheritance. Women don't own title deeds. When you want to go to a bank, they ask you for title deeds. So there's also that issue where we need to bridge in terms of access to finance, which without finance, you cannot even do your business. So trying to model, organizations trying to model how women can acquire capacities in terms of formalizing their business and getting them to get into microfinance and commercial banks and accessing loan. This is what we're doing within where I am working. So in summary, issues to do with mindset, human capital differences, and also being courageous as women to take up these corporate leadership roles.
Okay, I will just add that. Oh, sorry, Gabby.
I think we have only more 14 minutes, and we have a question from Jaime. So if you can just very fast, quick, Kitty, or.
Okay, yeah, what I was going to say was also going to answer his question. One other thing that I've realized, I mean, as much as we have these organizations and we are empowering the girl child and we are empowering the women, one of the problems that then comes up is that we are not training and we are not teaching the men that then have to deal with these empowered women, and they then do not know how to act in the face of an empowered woman, because men will still be socialized in the same way. So also to answer Yemi's question, I think it's upon everybody. So I think what our organizations should be doing, as much as we are working with girls and women, we should also, these organizations should also be teaching men. We should also be drawing in boys so that they learn from a young age, you know, to how to treat a woman, how to regard a woman. Because if you're only just equipping the women, they are not going to be existing in a world that is a vacuum. They're going to be existing in a world that has men. And these men have to be educated as well. They have to have the same kind of access that we are giving to these girls, so that they are equipped enough to know how to deal with these girls. Because if you're going to give a man who has been taught all his life that he is in charge, that he is superior, and then he has to come up against a woman who has been told otherwise, and he hasn't been taught that will continue to create that divide that we see. It does nothing for that. So I think in our endeavors as women, as we continue to advocate for the girl child, as we continue to educate women and empower women, I think we should also endeavor to educate men what it means, you know, that you are going to be a father. You have daughters. How do you want your daughters to see themselves as they grow up? You have sisters. How do you want your sisters to be treated in this world? You have a mother. How would you want somebody to treat your mother? This is how your mother feels. This is how your sister feels. This is how your daughter feels. So you as a man, you should be able to respond in A, B, C, D ways, because without working together with the men, whatever we do as women will ultimately fail, because they are not taught and equipped as well to deal with the women who have become empowered.
I have little addition to that, please.
Please, Annette. I'll just ask you to be very brief, otherwise we're not going to be able to conclude our session. Also, Kitty has class from right after, right, Kitty?
No problem, I understand. So I love the point you just gave. So I just want to add little things to it. See, she have said it right. We need to educate the men too. And if you want to educate the men, you need to focus on the parents. We need to focus on the parent. From kids, is we parent with the mother that is causing all this. I've seen a home before that the mother will tell the male child that no, this is my son, this is my man, this is my this. You don't do this. So as a girl child, you are the one that will sweep. You are the one that will go to the kitchen to cook. You are the one that will do this. You are the one that will do that. But the boy child, the male child, will only sit and be watching TV. Because he's a male child. So that is the reason why parents need to be educated too. We don't want people to do us anyhow, but we are not creating that in our children. A lot of parents like that will tell you that all the kids just finished eating. I went to somebody else that day. All of them just finished eating, and they're telling that the female should pack all the plates. I was not thinking, okay, maybe they are rotating it or something like that. But it was later I confirmed that it's that girl that is packing the place, even for the male child, and them too, because she's a female child. It doesn't work that way. As a woman, we need to train our male child from kids that they should respect their partner. We should let them know that women are like egg. They are so valuable. You know, when an egg falls down, it's destroyed. That is how valuable woman is. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. So I'm going to try to jump really fast, really quick to Haim's question here. He's mentioned a couple of institutions, of organizations, of stakeholders, actually, who have a role on this fight for inclusion and for equality. So he was asking if you think that it should be a joint work by NGOs and international NGOs, or if the duty is on governments, or if it's all of them together, and if you see that any of these actors, these stakeholders, should hold the legitimacy of this, or maybe the vanguard of this fight. Any of you would like to answer?
If I could take the question briefly, I think we need an integrated approach. And here I mean that everybody has a role to play. Of course, there will be regulators and there will be the policy-making institutions like government, where the policies need to be enacted that can facilitate gender equality. But for me, I think also as a conclusion for this debate, it really also boils down to a person. Because if you're a woman and you believe, even if you're working in that house and you're not taking any initiative to do something for yourself, nobody's gonna help you. So it boils down to the individual, but of course there has to be an operating environment for you to practice it. But if you don't take that opportunity, then it will pass you. So. And in this, I want to say that it's good for women, as much as there's all these cultural issues, to have a purpose. And I think one of the greatest things even that has helped women like who are in political positions, like in Germany or in Kenya, for example, we have quite a number of women who are governors, is being of service to others. When you see yourself creating value for others, then it makes you get a higher purpose why you should continue. Even if it's that school and you're pregnant, you get your child, then you continue with school because you know you're called for something bigger than yourself. So as much as we're talking about the regulatory and the institutions, they need to be there, but you as a person, you also need to play your part by showing up. So this is what so it's an integrated approach, but also the women has really to play their part. The men has to support. We also, it's a communal effort. So because you cannot really look at as part of it. We need the framework, the institutional frameworks to be there, but it boils down to the girl and to the boy.
I think that we should stop being passive participants as stakeholders, like, oh yeah, we will leave it to the politicians, we will leave it, oh, the NGOs are advocating for us, oh, the government will do this for us. We should stop being passive participants and take it upon ourselves to actually be active participants. If you want advocacy to be done, get out there and do the advocacy, you know, instead of just waiting for, you know, a lot of people in Africa, a lot of Africans have a tendency of waiting for outside help to come in to help them. You know what? Everybody else has their own concerns, you know. If we are waiting for the government to come in, like we said, the government is full of men and they still have patriarchal ideologies. And so they are never ever going to advocate for our interests. So it's high time, I think, we get off our butts and get active and stop just anticipating for policymakers, NGOs, the government, parliamentarians to act on our behalf. I think it's up to everybody to be actively involved as stakeholders in advocacy for women and children.
Thank each of you who sent a question, especially thanks to Naomi, to Kitty, and to Zainab. It has been such an amazing pleasure to talk to you, to share these experiences, to know a little again how we are facing country after country the same struggles to get into the labor markets and to get gender inequality in education and in the labor markets. At the end of the day, I think we really share the same, we might not share the same path, but we really share the same goals and the same rocks to get into it. So Paula, would you like to have a few words, last words?
Yes, I would like to, first of all, to say thank you very much. And I'm really sorry, all of you, for our technical issues. I hope we can work on this for our next gathering. And I think it's really important to say just a few words at what is going on in Kenya. And because unfortunately we didn't have time to ask about this question. But before we close our section, we are standing together with all protesters I'm sorry, not in Kenya, in Nigeria. Especially those who had lost their lives,
while protesting for the end of police brutality. We support the claim to the end SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad in Nigeria. What development and democracy needs investment in its youth, and it cannot go together with policy brutality. So we urgently to institutional accountability, especially for arms and police forces, not only in Nigeria, but in Brazil, Colombia, everywhere. I think we need to fight for a peace world and to have more women in the front line. That I do believe in our power, and that we can really change all this brutality that we have seen so far. So that's it. I don't know if Rami would like to add something, or Laura as well.
Just to say thank you for attending our event. For us, it's very special to have you joining us, believing the same as we in the same things. Many thanks, and see you next time. We are going to have new things coming. We're very excited about that. So please take a look in our Facebook page that you will find new things.